Sparxie can be quite complicated to build, so I really want to teach in depth how to properly optimize her, but first, let's quickly go over kit so that we are on the same page. You can think of Sparxie as Elation Dunheng IL. Her skill, engagement farming, consumes skill points to enhance her basic attack, and this can happen up to 20 times. On top of increasing the attack multiplier, when Sparxie has Certified Banger, it also deals elation damage, and each engagement farm adds 20% extra elation damage as bounce. Hence, the more you farm engagement, the more damage you do. Sounds kinda funny, but in addition to that, each skill point consumed can randomly give 1 punchline or 2 punchline and 2 skill points. I'm not very sure what the probability is, but it feels roughly like 20% for the 2 punchline and 2 skill points. Next, her ultimate grants 2 punchline points and deals damage based on a part of her elation and attack. This works kind of like Firefly's brick scaling, but her talent also allows it to deal 48% extra elation damage to all enemies, just like her basic attack. Her elation skill deals 50% elation damage to all, plus 25% elation as bounce 20 times, and also grants Sparxie 2 thrill points. Basically, what this does is that it helps you to offset skill points consumption during her skill. So on top of the straight fire, you can randomly get that regenerates 2 skill points. You can also offset some skill points, and combined, this is what allows Sparxie to sometimes go up to 14 or even 17 engagement farms, even though she only has a maximum of 9 skill points. By the way, because of her bonus ability, Sparxie's ultimate can also grant thrill and additional punchline, but it depends on the number of elation units on her team. That's why everyone talks about the third elation unit for Sparxie, because the third buff is pretty strong. The other bonus ability, Sparxie gains 8% crit damage for every 1 punchline up to 10. This has an interesting interaction with Sparkle, by the way, because Sparkle gives a crit damage buff based on her own. So by giving a 80% crit damage to the entire team, Sparxie can increase the crit damage buff for herself through this bonus ability. The last part of her kit is the most important part to building Sparxie. Sparxie increases her elation up to 80% for excess attack over 2000 up to 3600. This is also why the majority of Sparxie's damage is elation damage. Right now, if you count in Great Boon from Yao Guang, it actually looks something like 90% elation and 10% normal. The consequences of this is that supports that can buff elation are just much stronger for Sparxie, to the point where I think playing Sparxie without an elation support at Yao Guang is bad. Compared to 3B, who can still buff elation damage, Yao Guang is around 40% better in terms of total damage. Even each enhanced basic attack deals significantly less damage, and Yao Guang can still give 2 extra AHA instants in the same rotation, which will mean more bangers and punchlines, and hence more damage. So if you combine it, not only does Sparxie deal more damage with Yao Guang than with 3B, Yao Guang herself also deals more damage than 3B. It's not really even close. In-game, the difference is also quite noticeable, because Sparxie can one-shot the wave on the first AHA instant with Yao Guang, so literally 70 plus action value, while the team with 3B requires the full cycle and the memory turbulence to clear the wave. This is probably the biggest downside to Sparxie right now. She's not very free-to-play friendly, and her signature light cone doesn't really help there either, which means if you want to pull her, I think you really need to get Yao Guang as well. I've seen a few posts or videos saying you don't need Yao Guang, but obviously that's just for now. It will really start to feel bad when we get more HP inflation down the line. This is most likely why Yao Guang's banner lasts for the entire patch, by the way. But of course, combined with Yao Guang, the performance is really good from Sparxie. It's heavily overperforming in all types of game modes right now, and it can still improve with the third elation in the future. So now for builds, like I said, everything revolves around 3600 attack in battle. Just note that flat attack buffs in battle, like from Dunheng PT or Robin, do not count towards the 3600 attack. For in-battle buffs, it has to be percentage attack buffs, like Sparkle's Trace, or Lushaka, or Ho-Ho's Ultimate. So for main stats, keep in mind this can change when the third elation unit comes, but for now, if you don't have Sparkle, who gives the 45% attack buff, or triple Lushaka, which is 36% attack, you must run triple attack percent, and you have no choice there. Running only 1 attack percent means that sucks even if you have Sparkle, because you cannot hit 3600 attack even with the signature light cone, which is why it performs the worst. This means with Sparkle and Lushaka, the most optimal builds are going to be double attack percent main stats. Therefore, for version 4.0, I recommend attack, ER, or attack, damage attack. Obviously crit chest. It's not super important to speed tune AHA right now because he doesn't lose action value on a new wave, especially since we currently only have 2 elation units, and if you are running Sparkle, speed is just useless on Sparxie, right, since she will advance her anyway. So really, it comes down to energy regen rope or fire damage orb. Energy regen rope allows Sparxie to obviously regenerate her ultimate faster, which can help her deal more damage with the enhanced basic attack because you get more thrill stacks and more punchline. However, in shorter rotations where you get the same number of ultimates as the energy regen rope, attack, damage attack will give you the most damage, but obviously only if you have already hit 3600 attack. In this case, ERR does not give us an extra ultimate, and extra attack does not contribute more to elation damage. So even though the majority of Sparxie's damage is elation, damage boost that does not affect elation damage actually helps to optimize the non-elation damage Sparxie has, which is why it's a 2% increase in damage here. The thing is, ERR rope isn't super necessary for Sparxie or anything. Her enhanced basic attack is 40 energy, and Aha instants can regenerate even more. So even without ERR, I rarely have issues getting her ultimate again in game. What it really does is guarantee 3-turn ultimates, but even without it, Sparxie is at 140 energy, and there is a pretty good chance you get that missing 20 energy in those 3 turns. So it starts to get a little bit weird. Damage Orb doesn't really do much more for Sparxie since she mostly deals elation damage, and ERR rope also isn't really needed. In very long fights, that's when we can see the value from ERR, but right now it's really impossible to clear longer than 0 cycle if you know what you're doing, which is why in most of the runs I showcased, I run attack to optimize the damage in a shorter clear. So as a summary, if you don't have Sparkle or you are using a 3-star light cone, always triple attack percent plus crit chest. If you are using Sparkle, either fire damage orb or energy regen rope, but never both. Hence, for substats, it should be pretty obvious by now, as close to 100% crit rate in battle. In fact, if you can hit 100%, that's really good. And then enough attack percent to hit 3600 in battle. From here, as much crit damage as you can, because elation damage can crit. There's a little extra thing, but for Trace priority, her talent is by far the most important because all her elation damage scaling is there, followed by her elation skill, and then everything else. Now for light cones, we first have her signature light cone. It gives 48% crit damage, has high base attack, and after using 4 skill points, gives 20% elation defense ignore, and 20% elation for the entire team. But the strongest part about this kit in my opinion is that it increases the skill points based on the number of elation units up to 3. Because you cannot use Sparkle's ultimate during Sparxie's skill, the maximum skill points is basically all you have to work with, and by increasing it, allows Sparxie's enhanced basic attack to deal more damage, while also stacking more punchlines, meaning more certified bangers and more damage down the line as well. This is why there is a pretty noticeable difference between her signature and other alternatives, and is generally what I would consider a good value light cone because it gives you extra effects you cannot easily get from anywhere else, but also means she's again less free to play friendly. In second place, we have today's good luck, the Battle Pass light cone, calculated at S3. It's just crit rate and extra elation, but still fairly strong and still pretty good performance. The best free-to-play alternative is again Mashi Shrumi's Adventures, just like with Yao Guang. Extra elation and elation vulnerability is pretty good and isn't too far behind the Battle Pass light cone. By the way, 4-star light cones are also harder to hit 3600 attack on. This means you must allocate more substats to attack percent instead of crit damage, which will mean you lose a bit of damage due to having less crit damage, which is also accounted for here. The last light cone is Lingering Tears, but you must run triple attack because it's a 3-star light cone with very low base attack, and is by far the worst choice. In a longer fight, the damage will drop even further due to not having an energy regen rope, but for now, it should look something like this. For Relic Sets, it's much more straightforward. 4-piece is pretty much fixed, Ever Glorious Magical Girl, extra crit damage, and defense ignore on the elation damage. For Planar Ornaments, Tengoku is her best in slot because Sparxie constantly consumes skill points, so the uptime on the crit damage is pretty much 100% after the start of the battle. But Izumo can be decent as well if it helps you to hit 3600 attack. However, if you already have 3600 attack, Izumo is literally just a worse option unless you also need the crit rate. So now for teams, a best in slot is Sparkle, Yao Guang, and Dunhim PT. If sustainers, I would swap Dunhim PT with 3B or maybe Cypher. Sparkle regenerates a ton of skill points and has buffs that can still affect elation damage. Yao Guang is currently the only elation support, and we have already gone over how much stronger she is than alternatives. And finally, Dunhim PT is slightly better than Hoho, even though his attack buff cannot contribute to elation damage. This is probably due to his follow-up attack dealing extra damage and his skill point positivity. Hoho is skill point neutral, so you will naturally farm less engagement during Sparxie's skill, and her ultimate attack buff only lasts for 2 turns, so you can lose extra damage if you are not playing her properly. For Sparkle builds specifically, I recommend 134 speed with her own signature or Sunday's signature, or something that just gives like crit damage. The reason why I like Sunday's signature at times is because it can give Sparkle a 2-turn ultimate with good RNG. This can mean faster skill point regen, but comes at the cost of less elation damage because damage boost is useless. However, if the enemies have a lot of attacks, you should always be running Sparkle's signature because you will get the 2-turn ultimate anyway. Of course, you can run 167 Eagle Dance Sparkle. This is what I used for most of my showcases. However, it can be slightly harder to play if you don't really know what you're doing. Right now, her teams are very fixed, so honestly not a whole lot to talk about, but once again, when we get to the 3rd elation, things can change more. Now, if you're considering more investment to Sparxie, E1 gives an extra 5 punchline when AHA instant ends, and for every 1 punchline owned, increases res pen by 1.5% up to 15%. So this is just like her crit damage trace. At 10 punchline, you get maximum stacks, and is a decent increase in damage for the entire team. E2 grants Sparxie an extra turn after an AHA instant, and additionally gives her 2 thrill points. On top of that, for every thrill consumed, she increases her crit damage by 10% up to 40. This is quite strong right now because of the extra turn, while giving you more skill points, and also extra crit damage, which will mean slightly higher elation damage. E4 allows the ultimate to gain 5 more punchline while also increasing her elation by 36%. It's quite a decent buff right now because it's not very easy to stack elation as of version 4.0. Finally, E6 is even more res pen, and for every 1 punchline during the AHA instant, her elation skill can deal additional bounce up to 40 times. This can literally quadruple her elation skill, which is why it's such a disgustingly strong Eidolon. Do take note that a lot of her Eidolons are tied to AHA instants. So if you do not have Yao Guang who can give AHA an extra turn, all of these calculations will perform significantly worse, which is why my recommendation for vertical investment is to always get Yao Guang first, followed by S1 for the skill points, and then you look at Eidolons. Okay, so now I want to walk you through how to play this team, because some of the gameplay I've seen is really disgusting, and there are some mechanics that you may not be aware of that can help you optimize elation damage. Right now, most of the skill expression from elation teams is managing your certified banger duration, because you can actually extend the duration if you play it properly, but if you waste the duration as well, you will also deal less damage because certified bangers are what is used to calculate your elation damage. So firstly, the setup I'm running is a high base attack on Dunhing PT, Sparkle with S1, 134 speed, Yao Guang with this, Sparxie with S1, no Eidolons, and I'm running attack, fire attack, no energy regen, fire damage boost. This allows me to get the 80% elation without this 596 attack from Dunhing PT. So firstly, I don't want this Soul Dragon to be enhanced, so I'm not going to use his ultimate yet because the damage calculated from the enhanced Soul Dragon is based on your bondmate stats. I have yet to buff Sparxie, so if I want to optimize damage, I'm not going to use it yet. I can just basic attack here. Now the shield, just let it pass by. So now you have 3 ultimates. You have Yao Guang, Sparkle, and Dunhing PT. You do not press Yao Guang's ultimate. Okay? This will waste 1 turn from the certified bangers that you get from the ultimate. Instead, you press this, because the skill points can overflow, and now she can regenerate more energy from the skill. This allows her to get a 2-turn ultimate later. Now, when Sparxie has locked in her turn, not at 0 action value, locked in her turn, she is on the screen here, you press Yao Guang's ultimate. And because Yao Guang's ultimate is split into 2, you can use Dunhing PT's ultimate in between, and during AHA's instant, Sparxie is dealing elation damage, which counts as using an attack, which will allow Dunhing PT to regenerate some energy. So you can watch here. First, Yao Guang will regenerate energy. Now Dunhing PT and Sparxie will both regenerate energy. Okay, now we have applied the vulnerability. We have the res pen from the Yao Guang ultimate. We also have Sparkle's ultimate. We are ready to do our damage. But because this is Premier of Chaos, we still have so much action value left, right? You don't want to one-shot them here. Instead, I'm just going to do a little bit of damage and try and keep them on 1 HP after the AHA instant, something like this. Because this is going to do a lot of damage because we have all buffs active, right? 600k just from Yao Guang, 1.8 million from Sparxie. Just like that. So now what happens is we have 1 more turn, right? This regenerates extra energy for our characters. So here I'm actually going to use Yao Guang's skill so that I don't have to skill again on the second part of the fight. Otherwise, you would waste 1 skill point, and that can mean less damage. Now for the last part, I want to give Sparkle 1 more turn, right? So this regenerates more energy for her. And I'm going to do the opposite of what I did at the start of the battle. I'm going to use Sparxie's ultimate before she locks in a turn. This allows me to save my certified bangers because I don't take an action. You can see it's 0 action value. Now I'm going to hit the enemy. And I still keep my banger, see? It's still 99. Now we get the AHA instant that was carried over. This advances the boss action. Like this. D20 up. We get 100% action advance for Sparxie, which actually can reduce the uptime on the bangers. But that's fine because this boss can give you AHA instants as well. Now we just one-shot this subfield thing, and also stack more punch lines for the next fight. Now I'm not going to use the skill points from Sparkle's ultimate yet, because you get more skill points in the next few actions. You can use Yao Guang's skill here again, but like it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to do this so that I maximize the skill points I get from the overflow. I can just basic twice, doesn't really matter. Now you want to clear the face. You don't have to use all of the skill points because it has 100% vulnerability. Something like this I think will kill. Yep. Now I get 100% action advance again. After this turn, Sparxie will lose her certified bangers. Now it's only 20. We deal a lot less damage as well. So here we're just focusing on stacking punch lines because the next AHA instant is quite close. Like this. Use the ultimate as well. I should have used Dunhin PT's ultimate first. I forgot about that, but it's fine. You will know what to do next time, I hope. So this is going to give the rest ban, like that. Now the elation skill is going to one-shot the subfield actually, and also give Sparxie back her certified bangers. And it's going to give us another AHA instant, which means even more certified bangers. And now, because we took the extra turn on the first phase, we didn't one-shot the wave too quickly. We now get one extra turn on Yao Guang, right? I don't have to use a skill as well. And I get her ultimate back. This is really important because it means I can give AHA an extra turn again. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this. Now it doesn't really matter. You should normally wait until it's Sparxie's turn, right? But this is the end of the battle. It doesn't matter anymore. If you really want to, you can do this as well. But it doesn't matter. We are going to win the battle already. And then you just one-shot the boss. And we got to 20. Nice. And that is how you play Sparxie and Elation. Pretty easy. Okay, and that's pretty much it for my Sparxie guide. Thanks for watching, and it would be great if you could like and subscribe if this guide helped you. So, see you.